All right, so finances are not as complicated as everybody's making it out to be. And just follow me here. A lot of the time that I've been working in this industry, I've been here for well over 10 years. And the one thing that always trips up most of my clients is the fact that it's awareness. It's basically the dollars that enter into the home and leave the home, they're a mystery. And especially with married couples, there's no communication between the two, right? I think that's a very important piece to have. But let's just say, you're single and you're living your best life, and you're working hard, you're earning money, and money's going inside of your account, but do you know exactly where it goes to? And I think there was a little bit more awareness just with this right here, money in, money out. A lot of folks are less likely to be surprised at the end of the month. Here's my case in point. So how many of you know exactly how many subscriptions that you have at any given moment? There's a couple of ways to actually track those down. I'd suggest actually doing that. And, maybe I'll put a link down in the description here, but just think about really, how many different subscriptions do you have? I mean, is it Hulu, Netflix, Prime, BankKey? I mean, there's so many different apps that are actually out there. Now, venture outside of just your streaming apps. Well, do you have a gym membership? Do you have a car washing membership? Just get the little strip put inside your vehicle, drive up to the booth, and just go right on through because you're a member of the car wash club there. A lot of times people don't even remember that, but they've not even lived within the area for a number of years, and they've been paying on this again and again and again. Well, think about this again. Relate this to all the other subscriptions, all the other apps that you currently have. How much money is leaving your household going to something that you're not currently even using right now? So, I mean, I think that's a little bit wasteful, but, I think if you took a quick look and just, maybe at a bank statement and then also double check that with a credit card statement, now you're going to start getting a whole picture there, because typically with a subscription, that's going on to a credit card statement rather than a bank statement. And so that's pretty much easy to scan through. And I would say go back at least 6 months, find out which charges are reoccurring the most, and then that way you can, itemize it, maybe write it down on a piece of paper, come up with a spreadsheet or something, and then that way you have an active way to track what you're spending your money on. Now, another way that some folks actually have money leaving the home and they're not really even aware of it is through, say, you have your mobile subscription, right? You're going through Verizon, T-Mobile, AT&T, all these different services that are out there, Spectrum, and so on and so forth. Well, sometimes what you can do is you can link an account through your bill. How often is that happening, right? And venture even further outside of that, not only your cell phone bill, but maybe just something that you're a member of. Say it's like a house, and you're paying for a whole bunch of subscriptions. This could even be a lawn service. But you haven't seen your lawn care person around in a couple of months, and you're the one cutting the lawn, but still paying that old service there. So just some things to really consider as, again, just really tracking where your money's going. Now, let me layer this on top of effective use of your money, right? There's been many iterations of a lot of these streaming services that are actually out there, but which ones are you using the most? Have you been avoiding one? But go back to it every once in a while just to catch up maybe on 1 or 2 episodes, but it happens every 3 months. Maybe that's not an effective use of having that particular app. But if you have plenty of money, plenty of cash flow going on, keep those subscriptions going. I'm mainly focusing on the people that are really wanting to gain absolute control over how much money is going in and out of the household. So evaluate what you currently have. Get a second opinion, right? Just like your doctor. Your doctor may come up with a very serious prognosis and say, hey, you're going to have to go on all these different types of drugs here in order to beat, or get healthy from whatever you're suffering, prior to meeting up with the doctor to get more information on. The same thing with your accounts. Maybe there's an alternative out there that's going to do a much better job, and as a bonus, may even cost less. All right, here's a third way to actually save a bit of money and increase the amount of cash flow that you currently have, and this is in relation to cars. So I have a really good friend. I've been friends with him for well over 20 years, almost 25 years now. And he's in the car business, but not only does he sell cars, but he leases them too. In today's economy, car payments are becoming one of the fastest growing payments in a person's budget. We have some cars nowadays that are in excess of $100,000, and I'm talking nothing special. Maybe it's just a nice pickup with a few bells and whistles. It's not top of the line. We're not going for the gold or platinum package, right? We're just talking, kind of middle of the road, maybe just one or two bells and whistles on there. Well, I mean, this is approaching now almost $100,000. I mean, given the last few months, I mean, some of the markets have been dropping a little bit, so maybe you can find a better car or better vehicle. So maybe trade in the one that you currently have paid off, buy a new one for a much better price. But just know that as time goes on, inflation is causing vehicle prices to escalate in costs. Yeah, there's a bunch of things that you can get inside of them, but do you really need them all? And do you really even need to buy it? So this is the next point I'm making here is that take a look at what a lease actually does for you. And some of those leasing contracts, yes, you do pay kind of like a deposit up front, and that pays for your application, your fees and everything. That gets the lease documents over into your name. You have keys in hand, and then you just make monthly payments on it afterwards. This could be a 1-year lease, this could be a 3-year lease, or whatever the terms happen to be here. But especially if you're a person that likes to have high turnover, you want a newer vehicle more often, well, a lease may be in the books for you because you get to update it regularly instead of, okay, 5 years from now I'm going to pay it off and then I can buy another one, right? You just wait until the term runs out in a year or two or whatever it happens to be, go back and say, hey, I want to go ahead and consider another vehicle, and now you have another brand new vehicle sitting inside of your driveway, and you just kind of move on from there. So that's another great effective way to kind of control your budget, but also enhance your lifestyle too, because it's not always about, cutting the amount of money that you have going out of your bank accounts. Maybe it's just making a better use of it. So here's my last point, and it's, just also to help enhance quality of life, right? There are so many different clubs out there, and they give you access to homes in different locations, vacations, different ways to go traveling, or whatever it happens to be. I would say keep your eyes open for either a club that allows you to do that, or maybe it's already sitting inside of your wallet or purse right now. It may actually be through your credit card. So this next point is negotiate your credit cards. If it's a young credit card and you do not like the way it's performing, maybe it's too much interest that they're charging, maybe there's no benefits linked to it, without affecting your credit score, well, you may want to cancel that card and go with another one, right? Young cards, it's okay to do that with. But let's say you've had one for quite a few years. Like I have one credit card I've had, maybe the last 21 years now. If I decided to cancel that card, it would have a dramatic effect on my credit score. It would probably cause it to drop a minimum of 75 to 100 points, right around there. In doing some of my research, just know that I'm not a credit specialist, but in some of the research that I've done, a lot of folks are advising against canceling old credit cards. It's use it every once in a while and then keep that sitting someplace else. So I actively use a couple of my credit cards. I'm not maxing them out or anything. I pay them off at the end of the month. That way, I'm not getting hit with those huge interest charges, and I get to capture all these benefits, right? I know one of them is the Marriott card, right? You sign up with Marriott, you gain points and credits on there, and now you can go vacation on Marriott's dime. I have a cousin that actually does that. Fantastic outfit. I think really kind of opened up my family's eyes to the potential of actually becoming a member with it, but don't tell them that, right? So, that's one way to actually do it, maybe through a good credit card that's going to give you the ability to accumulate miles, cash back rewards, maybe even travel credits or whatever it happens to be. All your major airlines are always putting it out there. Hey, subscribe to our credit card and you're going to be privy to X, Y, and Z. Another one of my favorite ones. One of my credit cards actually gives me access to United's club, right? So twice a year we get to go into an airport and we have a layover or whatever the case may be. If we're having to wait for a while inside of an airport, go to one of their clubs and check in. Sometimes you just pay a flat fee per person, or if you have, like we do, a couple of credits on our card every single year for being a member, well then we get to go in for free of charge. And while in the club, usually they have great seats, they have snacks and a few drinks around. Sometimes they'll even have a bar, so if you like to sit down, get really social with your crowd, have partake of a few drinks and everything like that. But here's the point: it sure beats sitting out on a regular chair and wasting time. And this is what airports really love, and especially those stores that are there, they love the impulse buy, right? So let's say you have a 4 or 6 hour layover just for some reason. Let's just, sake of argument. You're sitting there, you've already read your book, you're waiting on your last leg to get home, and it's getting pretty late at night, so you're hungry, right? Well, you go buy some food. Well, credit card or with those airports, you can spend quite a bit just on a bit of food. Let's say you're not doing McDonald's or something, you're doing just a little more of the sit-down dining experience. Well, each person easily $25 to $30 easy, right? But you have a family that's with you. So let's just say a family of three, husband, wife, and a child. Well, there you go. That's almost 75 to 100 and something dollars without the tip. Compare that to maybe going over to a club. Now, some of these clubs, you don't have to really pay that much to get into. Maybe it's $30, $40, $50 to get inside of. But there's no limit to the amount of soda, juices, water, nice clean water and everything. You don't have to lean into a fountain, which there's nothing wrong with that. I still do that quite often, or fill up my canister. But, why not settle for maybe water that comes in a glass with some ice, high quality water. Maybe go down and pick out from the buffet area, maybe a couple of pieces of meat, cheese, a little bit of bread, something that you can just sit down and have a great conversation with your family, maybe rehash some of the experiences that you just had. But you could potentially save quite a bit of money, especially if you're a higher spender, right? So it's not only the meal that you have to worry about, but they have those gadget places that you can go into. They have the newsstands, they have the coffees and just everything that. Now, how much money have you spent on this one layover? It could be a couple $100 just because you were bored and you have a credit card that has some open space on there. But if you place yourself in one of these clubs, well, that could potentially have you lower the amount of money that you're spending, but up your experience while you're having that layover. So, I'm looking forward to actually putting out a lot more content, stuff like this, maybe tips, tricks, maybe a bit of education. One of my specialties is financial literacy, so I would love to sit down with you later on, maybe give you some more information. So look forward to actually sharing more details and more ways to save money, improve your quality of life, maybe get to a better retirement and so forth. But it's my pleasure to actually do this. I consider it a service, a way that I can serve people. And so, my name is Dechai Shantanatsambat, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Have a great one. Thanks.